What is going on, Knoxville? DJ Crowley here. Stoked to be chatting with one of my old friends here. It's been about 5 years since we've talked, and he's coming back to Knoxville. The Uka Wizard himself, Jake Shimabukuro. What is going on?
Hey, aloha. Thanks for having me back. Looking forward to returning to Knoxville, man. It's gonna be awesome.
I know, man. It seems like you really love Knoxville. Let's start off with that. So, what brings you to Knoxville so much, man? You've been here quite a few times.
Oh yeah, I just love it, man. It's just such a great vibe, and people are always, they're always so fired up about music and the arts, and I think yeah, it's just it's always such a wonderful experience, coming through town and playing and they're just I feel like a lot of times the Knoxville audience, they're very open, to all different kinds of music and ideas, and so it's kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like a place like you're not afraid to try new things or to just kind of go for something even if you're a little uncertain. Um, and it's just and it's such a great feeling, because when it goes well, you're like, yeah, that was awesome. And then sometimes, it doesn't go as well as you planned, but so you work on it a little bit more. So hopefully we'll have some new material, that we can bring to the stage.
So excited, man. We're stoked to have you back. We're going to talk about the show and everything that's coming here in a few minutes, but I want to start this off here with the pandemic. I call it the jamdemic. Us as artists and industry professionals have been through the ringer over the past year. What have you been up to during the jamdemic?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to just send love out to everyone out there that lost family members, friends, and I was in Hawaii, the entire time, and we were we were pretty locked down, over there, and but musically, I think one of the things that I experienced was I realized, and I used to say it all the time, how important music and the arts are, right? But man, during the pandemic, I realized how much I craved music. I mean, even though I wasn't out playing or touring, man, I would put on my favorite tracks and listen, and man, and it's like sometimes in the middle of the day, I'd be like doing something in the kitchen, and I'd have a certain song playing, and gosh, I just start crying. I'm like, what's going on? But it's just music just touches us, in a way that is so so deep, and I don't know, it just speaks to your soul. And I mean, to be honest, this is our first tour. I'm out right now. We're in Georgia, in Decatur. This is our first tour since the pandemic. It's the first time that I've gotten to play with my bandmates, in a year and a half. And I swear, man, that first show back, I mean, we were in tears. It was just so emotional to have that connection again with people, not
Mhm.
just with my bandmates on stage, but with the audience. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, I mean, I saw so many people crying in the audience, and a lot of these places that we've been playing. Tonight's only our fourth show in, but like last night and the night before, that was the venue's first show back.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was just so emotional, man. And but at the end, you could just, I mean, just there was a sense of just like just healing, just fulfillment. And
Yeah,
man, I'll never take this for granted ever, because it's it's so important.
it is. You got to be careful which songs you're playing. If you play Hallelujah, I bet you got them really crying on that one. For sure.
I played that last night, and the night before I did a version of Ave Maria, and you know, and it's those songs, man, that just they just tug at you, man. And I think that, with everything that we've all gone through or seen other people go through, or just everything that we've experienced, just oh man, for me it was just a time to just kind of let it out, and it was an amazing experience. Yeah. So I know, and all 3 nights have been just so emotional, and I know even when we come to Knoxville, it's still, yeah, I don't know, man, when you step out on the stage and you get to play your first chord, or just seeing the people, oh man, it's, yeah,
It's a
it's
powerful time.
just, it is, man. It's so powerful. And so yeah, I'm just grateful.
Well, we're grateful to have you back in Knoxville. Like I said, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. If you guys are just tuning in, you're late, but it's okay. You're listening to Simmer Down live from home. I guess you can call it, here with Jake Shimabukuro, the ukulele wizard, the uka wizard, like I like to call him. It's been a while since we chatted. We're stoked to have you, man. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna talk about Knoxville in a second, but I want to talk about what you've been doing, man, with the Jake Shimabukuro Trio. With Nolan Werner has been with you before, and then now you have Dave Preston. I was checking out Dave's solo record the other day. Tell
Oh
us
yeah,
about the trio, man.
yeah. It's Nolan Werner, who played on the record. We've been touring together for a while now, and the album's called Trio. He's based in Nashville. He's just a wonderful musician, and so first time I met him, we just really hit it off, and then a few years ago, we met Dave at a recording session, and man, that guy is like, he's just like an electric orchestra. He plays the electric guitar, but he's really passionate about like ambient music and
Mm-hmm.
sound healing and music therapy and all that stuff, man. And oh gosh, I mean, sometimes like there's this one piece, we do a version of Eleanor Rigby every night, and he does this intro, where we just kind of let him do his thing, and he just orchestrates all this sound. And man, I swear, I feel like I'm in church, like listening to him do his thing. And yeah, that was one of the songs that the other night, man, he started playing that, and gosh, I was just getting chills and all these feelings, these emotions were coming out. But yeah, he's fantastic. So he's out on the road with us. Nolan's not on the road with us now, but our other buddy Jackson Waldhoff, who's not on the record, but he's out on tour with us. And so it's been the three, just the three of us, and yeah, we've just been having a great time. Jackson Waldhoff, he's from Hawaii, like, with me, so we flew out together, and it's just this, it's funny because we recorded and released the album early 2019, right? So this was, way pre-pandemic and all that. But it was so crazy because when we were writing the songs for the album, like for example, the first track on the record, this is so eerie, but we were in the studio and we wrote this song together, and we recorded it, and we couldn't think of a title. And then, yeah, Dave, our guitar player, was like, "Oh man, how about like, something like, how about When the Masks Come Down?" And we're like, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." And we're like, "Okay," and and then, when everything happened, and I called Dave up, I was like, where did you come up with that title,
Oh,
When the
wow.
Masks Come Down, right? Because I was like,
Oh, wow.
that's so eerie. And he's like, I know, man, I don't even know where that came from, but but it was so weird. It's just like one of those things. But we just, man, playing those songs now, coming out of this pandemic, and just playing together, I think that the music just has, I mean, every note just has such different, a different perspective, different emotions tied behind it, there's so much more sensitivity, I think, in the music, and I don't know, man. I hope it's as healing for the audience as it is for us,
Well, it's
and that's
absolutely, it's always healing for us when you hop on the stage, and I'm really stoked to see this new trio. Man, we're really excited about this Knoxville show, and it seems like
uh,
just your energy since the last time I talked to you. Usually, you have all that, you're very quick-witted, have all these things to say. It seems like this pandemic has just brought you into this place of like, what is going on? And now that you're playing music again, it seems like it's so powerful. I can feel it in how you're talking to me. I mean, like what you were saying, getting on that first stage the other night, like it must be just insane out there right now on the road, with people being able to come out and see live music again.
yeah. I mean, even for myself, like during the pandemic, not being able to attend shows, or, I mean, not even performing, but just for myself being an audience member, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man, I was like, I was signing up for all kinds of virtual online stuff. Like Michael McDonald had something, and I watched that virtually. Chris Steely was doing some stuff, and I, signed up for some of his workshops, and Jacob Collier was doing stuff. I'm just like, man, this is so cool. Like I just was craving it.
Yeah.
When you can't have it, you realize how much you have been just taking it for granted. And
Mm-hmm.
so just and even like because I was never much of a computer person, but of course during this pandemic, especially with my kids doing online school and remote learning, I had to get more familiar with how to do these conference calls and these Zooms and all the different platforms. But man, it was just crazy how much those Zoom hangouts, with
Mm-hmm.
friends became such a big something I looked forward to every weekend. It was like, yeah, we'd send out a Zoom link. You were like, dude, yeah, we'll just hop on for like an hour, and just catch up, and
Yeah.
we'd be on there. I'm not even kidding. We'd be on there for like over 4 hours, and we'd be like, oh my goodness, we gotta
Yeah.
go to bed,
I know.
but it was insane, because pre-pandemic, it was like you might text each other and be like, hey, what you up to? Oh, cool, man. Hey, thanks for checking in, and that's it. But wow, like, yeah, in 2020, it was like, man, every time you had a moment to talk, if someone called, even just to, just to share a quick thing, it turned into like a one hour conversation, because you were so appreciative of that person calling, and then you wanted to see how they were doing and how their family's doing, and hey, you guys, you need anything, or and just reflecting, talking about the old times. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, it really gave me this it really taught me, how fragile and how precious, life is, and this time that we have together. And I think I feel it, like being on, the last few shows now, being on stage, man, it's changed the way that I express myself through the instrument, and
Hmm.
yeah, just it's yeah, it's and I know we all know people who, I had some friends of friends and some family of friends that that um, that had loved ones that had passed, and it was hard to see them go through that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's just. But man, I telling you, this is like just having music back is and seeing a lot of, being able to travel now outside of Hawaii, and seeing, seeing people kind of getting out, and and doing things. It's kind of it's so hopeful, and
Yeah.
I yeah, it's yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to get all, but yeah,
It's
it's
okay.
beautiful, man.
It's a time, when all the artists I've been talking to lately, I always want to talk about what's been going on in the pandemic, jamdemic, whatever you like to call it, because everybody's dealing with it, differently. And it's a powerful thing in a good way and a bad way. Obviously, there have been some, major losses in this world, in this country, and people's lives have been, changed forever by losing loved ones. But there's also been, a blessing in disguise within this. I found my true love. I moved away. I quit, doing, I was a tour manager for a couple of years there after I'd done radio, and I was just burnt out, and I came back to Knoxville, and now I met my true love, and now he's my co-host. So how cool is that?
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So you'll be seeing Blue at the show coming up.
Nice.
And I want to talk about this show coming up June 14th, Monday, June 14th, at the Open Chord. You played there before. This is an intimate venue, and I have never seen you in an intimate venue before. And to my knowledge, this tour, they're, theaters and stuff like usual. So what can we expect at an intimate venue with Jake Shimabukuro?
Oh man, that's my favorite. It's because I started out playing in coffee shops.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started as a teenager, I was playing in local coffee shops in Hawaii, and the first coffee shop I played at was a place called Java Java Cafe, and I would play there Fridays and Saturdays. And it was so tiny, you didn't even need a sound system. There was probably like, if you had more than 5 people in there, it was packed.
Wow. Oh, wow.
It was really tiny, and man, and I loved it. I mean, it was crazy because, I just remember moments where even the owner of the coffee shop would almost just, whenever I would start songs, she would stop taking orders. And because it was so quiet and so intimate that even if she couldn't run the coffee grinder, she couldn't run the register because the noise, it was so small that the noise would just distract right from the music. So it was so cool. Every time I would play a song, it was just like the whole place just turned into a library, and and people were just engaged and listening. But so I've always loved that feeling of just being right there with people, and I'm hearing the same thing that they're hearing in real time. I'm experiencing the same thing. So when you have an intimate venue, you feel so much closer, and you feel like you're all experiencing the music in the same way. And that becomes so powerful because now we are definitely having the same experience. Sometimes when you play in larger venues, the experience outside and the experience on stage, can be a little different.
Correct.
Right. So, because we're getting our sound source. We're getting our sound from a different source, right? We're hearing the monitors and, the reflection of what's happening on stage, and a little bit of the house, but right out there, they're not getting what we're getting on stage, and they're getting their own things. So it is nice. But now when it's an intimate place like that, it's just magical. And I'll never forget one time, I got to see Al Di Meola play, and he played in this. It was like this little side thing at the NAMM show, and he was just like, yeah, come and play a few songs at the booth, and it was just this little side area outside of the main hall and stuff, and I don't think it was announced, that he was gonna just jam and play. So, dude, I was sitting, like, I'm not even kidding you, man. I was sitting, I could just reach out like this and touch his leg. That's how close I was, wow. And I just sat there and I got to watch him play. I mean, I was probably like 20 years old or something. I mean, I I was just mesmerized. But being that close,
Mm-hmm.
and I could hear his just the sound of his acoustic instrument. I mean, of course, he was plugged in and stuff, but I was so close to him that I could hear everything he was doing acoustically.
That's
And
amazing.
that was one of the most incredible concert experiences ever. And it wasn't even really a concert, but
Yeah, just a little sit down.
yeah, just to, that intimacy and being right up there, up close and
Mhm.
personal, man. That was
Yeah.
so powerful.
Well, bands love, and managers, I'm sure too. I was a tour manager and a manager. We all love, let's play Red Rocks in the amphitheater because you make a bunch of money. But I think the artists probably, enjoy that intimate setting more because you are literally right there with you. You are all doing it together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm so stoked. I didn't get to go see the open chord last time because I was on tour, but we're definitely going to come to this one. It's June 14th, Monday, June 14th. If you're just tuning in, you're really late. It's okay. You did not, you did not miss the show. It's Monday, June 14th. I think at 8:30 p.m. Some tickets are still available, but they are going quick. It's an intimate show. It's going to be a very unique experience. It's going to have the trio there. Man, we got one more question for you, but first, how can we find you and how can we get to the show?
Oh yeah. So the I have a website. It's jakeshimabukuro.com. And then our social media, of course, Facebook um and Instagram and things like that. But also just go on the Open Chord website. That's what I've been telling people. Go on the Open Chord website. You can get your tickets there, but check out their schedule. Check out all the artists that they're bringing in, and as much as you can, support them. I mean, just kind of because it's such a great venue to see artists. And even if there's an artist that you're not familiar with, just take a chance, because a lot of times you'll go in there, and especially in an intimate setting like that, you're going and you'll be like, oh my goodness, I was blown away. And and then you're like, oh my gosh, that's like my favorite band ever now. That happens all the time. And go see them now before they're going to be in the stadium shows, and you're going to be like seeing them, they're going to be that small on stage.
Yeah.
And so I think, and especially like the open chord is so cool because it's so vibey that even those musicians that do the big stadiums, they wanna come and do that again, do the intimate shows, because there's a magic about it. There's just something so magical about that.
Yeah.
That up close and personal. And man, and I'm so grateful that the open chord has just been so supportive, and they're bringing us back. And and it's such a cool town, and the people there are just wonderful. And so I'm really looking forward to it. We're just, yeah, man, we're just looking to playing and bringing music, into the Knoxville community. So ukulele music. So
yeah, and we are speaking of the ukulele, we haven't talked about it enough. I want to end it out. I can't remember what the question I asked you last time. It was like, what does the uk mean to you, or something like that. This time I have another one for you. Before we go here, thank you so much for chatting with us. I know you got a show in Georgia tonight. You probably got a sound check happening soon, catering, food, all that good stuff that happens on tour. I hope you're excited to be back on tour, and we're super stoked to see you Monday, June 14th at the Open Chord for an intimate show with your trio. One more question. There has been a lot of talk, and you can see it too over the past probably 5 or so years of the ukulele. People are really, really starting to take notice of this instrument. And I mean, the instrument of peace, like you told me, it is the most beautiful thing in the world. And there's so many people taking a chance and playing this instrument, and it's getting a lot of traction. You see it, huge artists, on stage at major amphitheaters, to you go into Guitar Center and they got ooks everywhere now. And I mean, you're seeing it. What is the future of this instrument? Where is it going?
Oh man, that's a great question. you know what I love? I love just, I love seeing all these iconic artists, like bringing it on stage with them and just turning, just a whole generation, of a whole generation onto this new instrument. I mean, when Eddie Vedder picks up the ukulele, it's like, man, the ukulele is so cool, right? Or like Paul McCartney picks it up and plays it, it's like, oh my goodness. George Harrison loved the instrument and was such an ambassador of it. But I think for a lot of people, that there were a couple of things that, I mean, from my perspective, like I think that kind of changed people's thoughts on the instrument, and one was, of course, is Israel Kamakawiwole's version of Over the Rainbow. That was just so beautiful, because you heard the ukulele in its most natural state, and that's how we heard it growing up, just someone just strumming it and singing it, and Iz's voice. Oh man, it's just so magical. But and that arrangement, that simplified arrangement was so powerful. We heard it in movies, we heard it in commercials. I mean, it became part of the soundtrack for so many of us, and I think that really opened up people's eyes, to just the beauty of the instrument. And then, of course, you had, the song "Hey Soul Sister." I mean, that I remember the first time I heard that song, I was driving in my car, and that track came on, right, and it just started with the ukulele, and I remember thinking, oh man, this is kind of cool, and at first I thought it was like a local band, like a, in Hawaii, like a new local band, and then I heard the vocal come in, and I was like, wow, this guy can sing, and I was thinking, who is this, right? And so I'm driving, and then and it starts kicking in, and I'm like, and it was so good. I pulled over on the side, and I pulled over and just sat there in my car listening to this whole song. And I was like, I gotta find out what band this is, right? And then so finally at the end of the track, the radio host comes on. And it's like, oh yeah, a new song from the band Train, and I was like, what? I was Train. I was like, that was an ukulele, and it just totally blew me away, because I knew at that point, there were just going to be so many young kids like picking up the ukulele and playing that song. And I just got so excited, because I just knew that, I mean, that was, and that song was huge. I mean, it just blew up. So I think, I don't know, man, it's just wonderful to see that. And the ukulele is a relatively young instrument, right? It's just a little over 100 years old, but it's so just to see it making its way into, like, like even Billie Eilish, she has her own signature ukulele out, right? And so it's like, man, it's just like, I don't know, you're totally right. It's just blowing up. It's just, the ukulele is just touching so many lives, and it speaks to so many of us, because like when we do our shows, you'll see, I mean, the demographic, it's like senior citizens will come to the show because they grew up watching the ukulele on TV, or, watching Elvis movies or something,
right.
But then you also have the young kids who are picking it up because of these incredible artists that they admire and they love listening to, right? And so they're picking it up, and then you have everyone in between. So, man, it's just, I don't know. I just feel so lucky to be living in this time, to see the ukulele just flourish like this. And because, coming from Hawaii, to see that, it's like another wave, like what surfing, right? Surfing was invented in Hawaii, and now look, it's everywhere, right? Or like, the steel guitar, the Hawaiian lap steel guitar was, that was invented in Hawaii, and now it's everywhere, right? So, and now I see the ukulele really taking off and following in the footsteps of those other cool, like, I don't know, part of Hawaiian culture there.
Right. And you know, something cool for you, you have the platform, the ultimate platform to push this instrument, you know, to the stars. Sky's the limit, you know. It's pretty cool what you're
Uh,
doing, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And yeah, and I'm just, like I told you last time, man, I'm just a big fan of the ukulele, and I'm so grateful because that instrument has just created such an amazing, life for me. And I'm so grateful, so happy, and so thankful for my mom. She's the one who introduced me to the ukulele. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I, yeah, and I just, yeah, just thank you.
Absolutely. Jake Shimabukuro, him and the trio are going to be live at Open Chord in Knoxville, Tennessee, Monday, June 14th. It's a Monday night party, Knoxville. Come on. If you're outside of Knoxville, take the trip. Atlanta, Asheville, Nashville. It's not too far. Come see the Uka Wizard himself live in concert. Music is back. Live music is back. Jake, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.